And fight with pride, and I'm going to kill this man across from me. He's a little 5'2" twerp. He should have kept his mouth shut, and I'm going to slap the face off him, and that's it.
And
Connor, I'm going to fucking embarrass you, dude. I'm going to just...
10 seconds. Oh, he's out. Could he finish him here? It's all over. Conor McGregor is a UFC interim featherweight.
UFC lightweight champion Conor McGregor has been known to finish fights violently a time or two. In fact, many of his opponents who have been hit by his notorious hands have had their face physically changed by his power. Today we're taking a look at some of McGregor's opponents that, as the Notorious put it himself, had their facial construction rearranged. For this list, we're only including fighters that McGregor brutally put his hands on and left his mark. Literally. Jose Aldo. Although the fight lasted only a mere 13 seconds, McGregor's solo punch that connected on the former pound-for-pound king Jose Aldo surely left its mark. The punch that put Aldo's reign as the only UFC featherweight champion to an end left a noticeable cut on the bridge of his nose. A picture that captured the moment McGregor landed the blow shows Aldo's face in motion, a direct result from all the power that Conor was able to generate while moving backwards. After the fight, the cut on Aldo's nose was visible for some time. In fact, in his most recent outing at UFC 212, the cut is still quite noticeable on him, forever marking the historic 13-second KO McGregor pulled off in perhaps the most shocking title fight to date. Ever since their fight, Aldo has taken some time off, eventually rebounding at UFC 200 with a decision win over Frankie Edgar to gain back his featherweight throne. Most recently, however, he was TKO'd by the new champion Max Holloway, showing signs that ever since McGregor cracked him with his notorious left hand, his chin has diminished.
Here we go! Green trunks for the southpaw, the notorious Conor McGregor. Black trunks for the champion, Jose Aldo Jr. Conor relaxed and smiling. Oh! Just left him!
Eddie Alvarez. In what many considered his best performance to date, Conor McGregor captured the lightweight belt at UFC 205 in what was an absolute obliteration of Eddie Alvarez. Before their fight, Alvarez said he had fought many tough opponents and wanted an easy fight in Conor McGregor. Unfortunately for Alvarez, it didn't pan out as he thought. Just like any McGregor classic, the pre-fights were full of antics and trash-talking on both ends. Alvarez seemed quite confident that he had the tools to dispatch the Irishman, claiming McGregor had no shot. However, as time closed in on the fight night, there were a few physical signs that Alvarez had possibly fallen victim to McGregor's mental warfare, like the bags underneath his eyes the days before the fight. It could have been due to stress, lack of sleep, etc., but most likely a direct result from McGregor's mouth. When the cage door closed on the two men, it was almost shocking how it went. It was apparent from the sound of the first round that McGregor was quicker, stronger, and longer fighter. He dominated practically every aspect of the fight, dropping Alvarez several times in the first round. Eventually, after suffering many blows, Alvarez succumbed to McGregor's power in the second round, awarding Conor the first ever two-weight world champion ever in the UFC. After the fight, Alvarez was devastated. He stated in many interviews he wanted some time away to focus on his family, eventually returning to the Octagon in UFC 211. He fought Dustin Poirier, another man who had been KO'd by McGregor. In the fight, Alvarez kept getting tagged and rocked by most punches that landed for the Diamond. However, the fight ended in a controversial no contest after some illegal knees by Alvarez.
It was more speed. Like I think I got dropped one. The first time I was dropped, I remember being on my butt, and I was like, wow, that was quick. Whatever that was, it was fast. But I've been there before a lot of times in my career where I've been dropped. I don't panic. I pretty much get my composure and I get back up. But he was more like his speed and timing were very good. You could tell.
Chad Mendes. Conor McGregor was originally supposed to face Jose Aldo at UFC 189, but due to a rib injury, Aldo pulled out of the bout. Chad Mendes, coming off a fresh KO of Ricardo Lamas, stepped in to take on McGregor for the interim UFC featherweight belt. The two were already known not to like each other, as leading up to Mendez' second crack at Jose Aldo at UFC 179, they exchanged a few words in an interview. Leading up to the fight, many people thought that Mendez would actually be a tougher fight for McGregor rather than Aldo, due to his high wrestling credentials. Mendez believed he had the skill set to tackle the puzzle that is McGregor, despite the fight being on short notice. The two obviously had a distaste for each other, but seemed ready just to fight. During the fight, Mendez had glimpses of success due to some of his takedowns. However, McGregor eventually stuffed them, taking away his biggest weapon available against the Irishman. When Chad's takedowns turned out to be unsuccessful, it didn't take long for McGregor to capitalize on the gassed Mendez. A few shots backed Mendez up against the cage, allowing Conor to land a massive left hand that sent him dropping to the canvas, seconds before the second round came to a close. After the fight, Mendez seemed eager to get back inside the octagon, wanting to fight the Irishman once again, but this time on a full camp. He later agreed to a fight with Frankie Edgar, in which he was knocked out in the first round. McGregor stated that Mendez came back too early, and when you get KO'd by him, you need some serious time off. However, the negativity didn't end there for Mendez. He was later flagged by USADA for an illegal substance he later said was due to an ointment cream. He's expected to make his return to the octagon soon, as his suspension is running out.
Big, deep breath by Chad Mendez. Listen to this place. Oh, big shot by McGregor. Look at the clock closely. 10 seconds. Oh, he's out. Could he finish him here? It's all over. Conor.
He's accurate, and I think that's what plays into the success he has in his punches. But I mean, nothing really was like overwhelmingly powerful. But I mean, he's got power, but like I said, he's more accurate. I mean, you gotta give it to him. The guy didn't stop talking shit the entire time. I was hitting him with everything I had. The guy was still running his mouth. So I mean, that's Conor. Land a giant elbow on his face, and he says, "Is that all you got?"
Yeah, lead leg of Frankie Edgar. The answer with a huge statement tonight.
Nate Diaz. In a rivalry that dates back to UFC 196, Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz have met each other inside the octagon twice, with many believing they'll have a trilogy fight. They're the first fight that was a direct correlation to McGregor's original opponent, Rafael dos Anjos, pulled out of the fight. Leading up to the bout, despite being on short notice, many words were thrown at the two, with Diaz's mentality being killed or be killed, as he stated. In the first fight, McGregor landed many good strikes, but eventually gassed from the heavy volume. Damage was done to Diaz that was noticeable, but it was the Stockton native that found his way to victory, submitting McGregor in the second round. The build-up for the second fight was massive, and leading to UFC 202 being one of the highest-selling pay-per-views of all time in UFC's history. Many people doubted McGregor, saying that Diaz was just too big for the Irishman. However, this proved to be wrong as soon as the cage door shut, with McGregor dropping Diaz repeatedly in the first round. McGregor controlled much of the action in the early rounds, but Diaz started to show some of his skill set as the fight went on. However, McGregor was able to pull off the decision, which led to his title shot at lightweight. Diaz's face was cut and bruised horribly after the second fight, looking beaten and battered in his post-fight press conference. In fact, he wore sunglasses to hide his badly bruised eyes and part of his nose. His face still shows many marks of the wars with McGregor to this day, even with a slant to his face, which McGregor points out every time someone brings up the Notorious. We haven't seen Diaz return to action since his second fight with Conor, with many assuming he's waiting on a third fight with the Irishman.
The Notorious Conor McGregor!
I thought I'd win that fight. They can't have a like me winning. I'm too real for this sport. They're gonna get me out when they can, but it's all good though. I came to this fight worse off than last time. I didn't get a train, I had injury. Yeah, I didn't even make any excuses, but he should have finished me off. I want number 3. I gave him number 2 the second day, so I'm ready to go again. Yeah.
No, I think I just got warmed up too, and usually about that time he died out the last time and I picked up, so I was on and off the gas a little bit more after that mark. I think you're talking like the second round, right? About the
into the second,
and the second,
third,
middle, second on, yeah, probably about there. I started stepping on it a little harder.
Yeah, I thought I won the fight, and then they get I'm not gonna sound all bitter because it's all good. I got paid, it's all good, you know what I'm saying? And I don't think he did much, and he did a lot of running in that fight, and I think I've been saying he should have got yellow cards for that type of thing, you know? He ran the whole fight. You see me chasing him around that thing and pointing, I'm like, where are you going? And he's scared to engage. And I feel like they should have took points for that.
And fight with pride, and I'm going to kill this man across from me. He's a little 5'2" twerp. He should have kept his mouth shut, and I'm going to slap the face off him, and that's it.
And Connor, I'm going to fucking embarrass you, dude.